All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Potential Project. I'm your host, Sean Calhoun, and if you're here, it's because you're ready to reduce stress, burn stubborn fat, and get your body working with you instead of against you. On this podcast, we're all about simple, no BS strategies for fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle. This way, you can feel strong, confident, and in control. I'll give you the tools, mindset shifts, and habits to help you look and feel your best without spending hours in the gym or stressing over every single meal. Now, let's get into it. Guys, today we are going to talk about something that is very, very important when it comes to achieving your health goals, and that is the power of commitment in your daily habits. You know, we are not short of dreams, goals, and aspirations. Everyone has them, right? We all want to fulfill our destinies, feel great, be healthy, and live a meaningful life. But why is that a lot of us struggle to get to where we want to be at? And today we're going to break some of that down. Now, I want to bring you to a situation that caused this topic to pop up, and it was myself, and it was a couple weeks ago. So I was analyzing what my habits are and realizing that if I want to coach this stuff, I need to stay on top of my game and do the best that I can, understanding that I'm not perfect, but I need to lead by example. So if you've listened in the past or you know me in person, you know I preach a lot about getting daily steps in, drinking water, hitting your protein goals, prioritizing sleep, all of those things, right? The foundational aspects of building health. So I was like, all right, if I had to narrow them down, what am I capable of doing, right? Without trying to overwhelm myself and do everything like I preach, right? I don't want you guys to try to do all of the habits at once. What are a couple of the things? So for the one day, I was just like, let's just start with water, getting my steps and my protein. And I had realized that if I don't schedule in a walk, then I wasn't going to hit my 10,000 steps. That was my goal. If I didn't keep a tally for my water, I wasn't going to hit my 100 ounces of water, which was my goal. And if I didn't track in my phone on my Fitness Pal, I wasn't going to hit my 160 grams of protein. Now, you might say that's a lot, right? That's a lot of protein, a lot of steps, and a lot of water. Well, you have to realize that everyone is at a different stage, and we'll talk about that a little bit, where you need to be where you're at within your journey and within your goals. But where I'm at, those were my goals for the day and for really every day. And it made a light bulb go off, and I said, wow, Sean, you know, number one, if you aren't paying attention to this stuff, it's never going to happen. And if you weren't tracking it, you for sure are not hitting your goal. Like, you think you're doing all right, but if you're not tracking it, I can tell by the way I felt after doing it that I wasn't drinking enough water, that I wasn't getting as many steps in as I had hoped or that I'm set out to, right? I have goals, I have standards, and we need to be able to hit those. So what we're going to talk about today is why a lot of people aren't hitting their goals and how to switch that, right? How to take some action steps, how to change your frame of mind so that you can go forward and take it one step at a time, but really take good action steps on hitting your goals. So we know baseline that it takes action to achieve something. We can't just sit in a chair on our couch and meditate and hum and things will come to us, right? I wish it worked like that. We can start by visualizing, but then we need to take action and actually do something towards achieving our desired outcome. Realistically, the way I think of it is that there are 3 levels of action. The first level is accidental, right? And that is, you will never accidentally hit your goals and your daily habits, right? Like, you can take action, but you have no, aligned purpose with it. So for example, no one is accidentally going to drink a gallon of water or hit to 10,000 steps. Like I was saying, like, if I'm not tracking that, I'm not going to accidentally walk 10,000 steps. I'm not going to accidentally drink a gallon of water. Now, you might say, well, my job involves it and I always hit 10,000 steps. That might be true. And there's exceptions to all of the things that I'm going to say. But for the most part, to drink a gallon of water or hit your protein goal or get 10,000 steps in a day, let's say, most of the time you're not just going to randomly do that. You're not going to accidentally stumble into those numbers, right? Then next, you're moving down the list for the levels of action. Next is intentional. This is where you're moving in the right direction, but you're lacking some structure and the right energy towards the habit and the goal, right? So for example, you want to eat more protein, but you're not actually planning for it, right? Like you talk to someone, maybe it was me, or you saw a post online, and you're like, you know what? I know I need to get my protein. So you're intentional with that. Maybe when you go grocery shopping or just in life, you think about it, but you're not yet prepping it out or planning the meals or tracking anything, right? And then the third level, which is what we want to get to ultimately, is that you're committed, right? Committed action trumps all. And that's really the only guaranteed way to success, right? Within your goal and within your habits. This means really that you have a big enough obsession that with the outcome that you're able to plan, you're able to prioritize, and you're able to execute daily on those habits until they become standards and just a part of who you are. You know, like if your goal is to become healthier and you've understood like 5 foundational things that you can focus on, right? Like the water, the sleep, the protein, the circadian rhythm with the sun. Like there's a lot of foundational things that you can do to improve your health. And when you get to a level of being committed and obsessed, and I hope you guys aren't taking the word obsessed the wrong way, because it can be used for good, right? If you're hyper focused on something, that means you're putting your energy, your attention, you're getting your creativity towards it, and you're getting in flow state towards that desired outcome. So when you're obsessed and you're committed, that means you're going to be able to plan out, okay, what do I need to do to hit my water goal? Do I need to buy a bigger water bottle? Do I need to set a reminder on my phone? Do I need to enlist in a friend at work to remind me? Like, what do I need to do? You're planning that, you're prioritizing it. So when you leave the house, you know your water bottle's right by the front door and you never forget it. And then you're maybe have an app on your phone or a big calendar on the wall at home where you're crossing off the days in a big X and you're executing daily, right? Like you're giving yourself that satisfaction that when you do that big red X on the calendar, you've completed your tasks and you're doing that on a daily basis. That's what it takes to start building momentum and actually hitting targets that we're aiming for, right? So when it comes to being committed, there's a formula to that as well, right? And if we're not being committed in the proper way, again, we can lose focus and we can go off doing other things and it can just kind of fall apart, right? So the first step of being commitment is clarity, right? Of being committed. Sorry, I said that a little off. The first step of being committed is having clarity. Like you need to know exactly what the goal is. Because if you're committed to just say you're committed, that's one thing. Like, oh, I'm committed to, drinking more water or eat my protein. Like I keep using these same foundational habits because they're easy to plug into the scenario. But what I'm saying is if you just have a general goal, we don't know exactly what we need to do to get there. So maybe a lot of you have heard about macros, like understanding how many grams of protein, fats, and carbs you should eat on a daily basis. Now, if you don't have a goal of your body composition that you want to achieve, it's really hard to dial in your macros, right? We need to know where we're at currently. We need to plug in all that information, plug in our desired goals specifically, and then we'll be able to use an equation to find out what macros are going to get us there, because it becomes a science, experiment essentially. We are an equation and a biological species, and when we do that properly, we should be able to hit our goal. So if you're specific with it, you're going to be able to plug in, get your macros, track that, be committed to it, and hit that goal, right? So first part of being committed is having clarity. So you need to know exactly what the goal is that you're trying to achieve. Secondly is tracking. When you're committed, you need to track your progress, right? Like I was saying before, like I am definitely committed on living my ultimate potential and seeing how healthy I can get and how many other people I can help along the way. But if I am not tracking it, odds are I'm not going to hit that goal. Like I know I have my water bottle and I drink it throughout the day, but if I'm just sipping it or I get busy or I'm doing other things, it might not be the 100 ounces that I actually want to hit in order to hit my goal. And if I'm not using my fitness pal or marking down how much protein I'm eating, it's probably not going to be the amount that I want in order to hit my goal, which for me right now is to put on a little muscle, right? So if I'm not doing those things and I'm not tracking, it's going to be harder to get there. And now the biggest part about this with tracking is that you can remove emotion. I'm the first one to admit I'm an emotional being, right? So if I'm on the path towards something, I have a goal, and I'm just like, I think I'm doing all right. I'm working hard and I don't know what's going on. I don't know why the progress isn't there. That leaves you feeling frustrated, defeated, builds anxiety, to be honest. But if you have your clear goal, you are tracking your progress on a daily basis, and you can make adjustments based on facts and based on numbers, it removes all that. Hey, hope you're loving the episode so far. Thanks for spending some time with me. I got a quick favor to ask. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast because that's how I know you're getting value from the show. And this way, you never miss an episode. All right, now back to the show. Anxiety. It's like, all right, here's my goal. I don't care how long it takes to get there, but I know these are my daily steps, and I'm going to do as many of them on a daily basis as I can possible. Give myself a little grace and keep pushing forward, right? That leaves you feeling confident, feeling in control, and removing all anxiety and worry about how long it exactly will take. And then the last part of being committed to, in my eyes, is to keep it simple and structured, right? I've tried things that were extremely complex when it comes to, your food, your workout plans. I've tried it all, right? And what I have found is that simplicity is always better, right? Because we don't need full-blown elaborate plans to make some progress. What we need is momentum, right? So if we can have a plan that kind of builds upon itself and a structure that allows us to start with where we're at right now today and build upon it, that to me is going to leave you more successful than if you map everything out perfectly from day one. So for example, let's say you're someone who has never really worked out before, you've never gone on a diet, you're just so new to trying to improve your health, but you're like, you know what, I need to do this. So you hire somebody and they say, all right, give me a couple days to get things figured out. And they come back and they give you this detailed, nutrition plan where they're telling you you need 6 ounces of chicken and a cup of rice and a half a cup of broccoli. And they give you meals for like the next 12 weeks. And they're giving you this complex workout plan. And it's perfect. It's for your age, your height, your body type, your blood type. Like they did everything, right? They know exactly the plan that you need to follow. Well, the problem with that is you've never done any of that before. And it's so complex that you're not going to take a step. You're going to be nervous to even do anything because if you do it wrong, you feel like you're a failure, right? So even though that nutrition plan, the food was perfect, the measurements were perfect, the macros were there, the workouts were going to be awesome to help you build the strength that you want and burn fat, it was perfect, right? And if you would have just followed it for the next 6 months, you would have hit your goal no problem. But with that, you're not going to take any action because you're going to see it. You're going to be like, this is way too much. I've never even worked out before. I'm just going to go back to what I was doing. And you just feel like you're the problem and you're broken and I don't know why I can't figure this out. And it's frustrating, right? We've probably all been there with certain aspects of life. Rather than if we flip the script and we take that person who's so new to trying to better themselves and we just say, hey, you know what? Why don't we start with getting some movement in? Why don't we schedule in a time for us to go for a 10-minute walk, and we're going to go around the block, and then that's it, right? You're going to put your shoes on, you're going to go for a walk, and then you're going to go back to your day, right? 10 minutes a day, that's all I need you to do. We're going to track it. We're going to keep it on our phone. You already wear a Fitbit or an Apple Watch, so you can see that progress happening. You can check your watch throughout the day, and it's going to show you how many steps you got. You can put a little timer on. You're going to do 10 minutes a day. And we'll do that for a week or two. How's that sound? And they're going to be so gung-ho because they know for sure that they can tackle that. They know for sure that they can achieve that to a high level of degree. So then after a couple weeks, you say, you know what, let's bump it up. Let's do 15, 20 minutes, right? They're like, oh, no problem. I got that in the bag because I've been doing 10 minutes every single day. What's another 5 minutes on top of that? No problem, right? And you can see how you can stack things from there. Now they're doing 20 minutes a day, and then they start to add in some water. They're like, oh my God, I feel so much better when I'm drinking more water. Now, what are you doing? You're building confidence, you're building proof in yourself, and you're getting a little bit of progress, which is the biggest motivator of them all. So if you can couple a little bit of progress with the ability to trust yourself and have the confidence that you are the person you say you are when you're going to do things, it's game over. That's called a snowball of momentum. And now You're going to be tackling bigger and harder challenges when it comes to those habits. And you'll look back 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road and be the person who's walking 10,000 steps a day, who's drinking a gallon of water a day, who's eating 150 grams of protein, who's sleeping 8 hours. And you won't even realize because you're just going to be living your life, feeling amazing, and focused on continuing to grow and to get healthier, right? So that's why, it sounds annoying that you need to simplify it down so much, but not everyone's at that level. Some people might be ready for something more, advanced, but you just have to meet people where they're at. You have to meet yourself where you're at and understand that compounding is a real thing. It's not just with money, it's with habits, it's with mindset, it's with confidence. Things will compound over time. But since we live in a world where we get everything, immediately, Amazon sends it in a day. We can call someone right away. We can post on social media and get likes and get that dopamine hit right away. But when it comes to your habits, your goals, and your success, things might take a little bit longer, and we have to be okay with that. But as long as you're focused on, stacking those habits, building the confidence, building the momentum, it won't feel like a drag because you're going to feel good along the way, right? So I always like to talk about some action steps. Like, what can we do with all of this knowledge, with this new found wisdom? And hopefully when I'm talking, it might be a reminder to you. It might be something that you've never heard. But what I want is that you take something from this and take action, right? A lot of times the stuff that I say is not new or this foreign, cool concept. It's just that you needed to hear it again, right? And you listen to this podcast because something in your world told you that you need to be reminded about some of these things or this way of thinking that you kind of got away from, right? So we need to take some action. So how do we shift from, accidentally doing goals to being intentional to finally being committed, right? How do we do that? So first step that I want you to do is clearly define your daily habits. And what I would do is set your goal. You have your clear set goal, and then you get your piece of paper out, and then you say, based on your knowledge or what I've said or maybe stuff that you've researched, what are the few things that if I did them every day would lead me to that goal, right? If your goal is to burn fat or build muscle, maybe it's some strength training, drinking the water, hitting the protein. I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but just for the sake of time and using these examples is a lot easier. Those are maybe some of the foundational habits that you would do. So now you have clearly defined your habits. You want to eat more protein, you want to strength train, and you want to hydrate your body with enough water. So those three are your goals. Now, what I like to do is write out what you would like to accomplish. Like, let's say it's 10,000 steps a day, a gallon of water, and 150 grams of protein. And next to what you wrote down, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that you could do those on a daily basis? Right? Let's say you've never walked before. You barely eat any protein. And I asked you to eat 150 grams of protein. Maybe you're like, that's like a 1 or a 2. Like, I'm really low on the scale of thinking I can achieve that. Well, then we need to adjust it. You need to write down things and habits that you're like an 8 to 10 at, right? Like if I told you, hey, walk around the block 1 time, you're like, that's a 10. I can do that, no problem. Okay, find out what's going to keep you in the range of like 8 to 10, where it's something that challenges you a little bit, but you for sure know that you can achieve it. This way, you're going to start to build momentum and we'll get in the habit of doing it consistently. Then, after you have your clearly defined habits that are in your wheelhouse and aren't too crazy, we need to track them in a way that's simple and repeatable. Maybe it's, like I said, calendar on your wall. If you're like a really, tactile, visual, hands-on learner, that's really empowering, right? Getting a big calendar, putting it on your wall, and writing down what you do every day. And then when you get done, you put a big X through it, right? And then you can see the big red X's adding up over time. So track it in a way that's simple and repeatable. Maybe it's on your phone, on the notes section, or there are a ton of apps that you can download, but it's got to be something that works for you, right? If you don't want another app and to log in and make an account and do all that extra stuff, you don't need it. They are out there, but you don't need it. And then third, you need to prioritize them and schedule them ahead of time. So if you know for a fact, in order to get that walk in, you're not just going to have time if you just go about your day. So maybe you schedule a break in the middle of work, or maybe your lunch break is 30 minutes or 40 minutes and 10 of that is to go for a walk, right? Like you're being proactive and you're scheduling it ahead of time so that when it comes to the time to do it, you can be focused, you can be present, and you can take action rather than saying, ooh, when am I going to squeeze this in? I'm never going to have time. And then life happens, and then we never do it. And then we get upset with ourselves, and then we're back to square one in our head every single time. And we don't want that, right? So really, I hope you take that and you're able to take some actions. And just to recap, commitment is the difference between hoping for results and guaranteeing them. So back to my story, I was kind of like doing things, but I wasn't fully tracking and committed. But when you are committed, that's the little extra sauce you need. That's the extra push that you need to go from where you're at to making some serious progress, gaining momentum, building confidence, and taking back control. You know, I think a lot of us, we get stuck because we put the control in other people and other circumstances like the weather or the government or you name it, right? But when you can start to do these little things, you're taking back control of your life, and that's the most empowering thing ever. So just remember, success isn't about intensity, it's about consistency and commitment. I hope you guys take this, take some action, and go continue to crush it and improve your health. And remember, if you like this, share it with a friend. I will see you guys next week. Hey, thanks for spending some time with me on today's episode. I hope you got a ton of value from it. If we're not connected on Instagram yet, let's change that. Hit me up at Sean Calhoun _. That's SEAN Calhoun _. Shoot me a DM. Let me know what you think of the show or if you got any questions about how to level up your health. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on the next episode.